Did they both come up, Coach? Yo and Gaff, they both play?
Training tonight. I wish I could tell you, but we'll put them in the squad, I would assume. So, but we're training this afternoon, so anticipating for them both to train. So hopefully they're okay.
You've done a couple of sort of later training sessions this year. Is that a new thing?
Not really. We train at night when we can, if we're playing at night or a 6-day break. But for whatever reason, this week we've decided to train later in the day. So as the season builds up and we actually get an extra half a day recovery in our players, and we can do a little bit more. So we took it. We went a bit hard on Tuesday, so we can go a bit harder tonight, just a bit more break.
Simo, are you reasonably confident about Elliot? He seems to be one that's sort of more doubt probably about him.
Yeah, I honestly don't. From what I'm hearing, if he gets through training, he'll play, and he's training. So let's just assume nothing goes wrong, he'll play.
Does that put Lewis, has he done enough to hold his spot, do you think, or would he be in that sort of danger zone?
Yeah, look, we haven't quite gone through how it all looks. There's guys that we're not talking about that are touch and go as well, which I'm not going to talk about. So we've got to get through the tonight's session before we make any calls, and match committees after training tonight with a couple of beers and pizza.
So there could potentially be a few more changes beyond like a possible Gaff.
We'll have to wait until after training. Yeah, apologies, I can't give you any more information other than let's wait till after training.
Sorry, can we ask then, because McGovern didn't come out the other day, does that mean he's under an injury cloud?
Oh, he often doesn't come out early in the week. Yeah, he's got one of those bodies that takes a little bit of time to recover, so that's not unusual.
Josh Kennedy has done pretty well normally against the Bulldogs. How do you think he'll go on Sunday?
Well, hopefully it goes well. Yeah, it's he's been pretty good for us for a long period of time, so he's been pretty consistent. And this year's probably no different to last year. And now that he's had his baby and family's a little bit more settled, albeit he's got different issues now with lack of sleep and doing the things that new dads do. But I'm assuming that he's got a little bit more time to focus on his prep and the game this week. Not to say he went too bad last week.
You know, you didn't beat Geelong, Hawthorn or Sydney on the road so far this season. Do you need a big scalp this weekend?
Look, we just want to beat the Bulldogs. So I get the questions, and I'm anticipating they're going to keep coming because we haven't played at our best for those 3 games. I thought we were pretty good against Port Adelaide. Obviously, our home form is in pretty good shape as well. So I'm not looking at what we did at round 6 in terms of when we played the Cats. So we're pretty positive at the moment, and we're up and about, and we can't wait to get over there.
Now you've had a bit of time to scout them. How difficult are the Bulldogs to match up on, and how much have they changed from last year?
They haven't probably changed a hell of a lot in terms of how they go about it. They're very proactive with what they do, and their pressure's their number one asset, is what we see, and the ability to restrict your scoring is where they're really improved this year. I think they're number one by a mile with scores against and also the contested ball. So the stuff that we all know about the Bulldogs since Luke took over is pretty evident.
Is there a bit of a personal challenge there with you and Bevo and the new breed of coach coming through, that sort of thing, the young guns sort of thing?
Oh, it's actually quite interesting. I shared an office with Bolts, Cameron and Beveridge, so good friends of mine. I've got some really good memories with those guys. Where the office was tiny and we had some pretty good success at the Hawks. So yeah, they're all good friends, but there's no conversations going on this week.
When you were sitting with those guys, did you ever envisage that you could be senior coaching against them at some stage?
No, I didn't. I'm not quite sure if they did. But no, when you're an assistant coach, you're week to week. You're trying to win the next game and trying to help the club do that. So you're not really thinking too much about your future prospects or where you're going to be in the future.
So could we just talk about your injury list? You've had a pretty good run. What do you put that down to? Is that science-based analysis program, or is it half luck, or what? How do you see it? You've been in the game for a long time.
Really good management. I'd love to say that was the only reason, but I think every club goes through their phase, and we've been probably the first 2 years we've been struck down with lots of injuries, so we're going through a good phase at the moment. Look, we've put a lot of work into it, and Warren Covert and the sports science boys are very meticulous at how they go about it, but it doesn't matter what you do, sometimes you'll get some injuries. So collision injuries are going to happen. And the soft tissue ones, you think you can put a program together to help restrict those types of injuries. So we're in pretty good shape at the moment. That can change really, really quick, so I'm not going to get carried away with that, but there is some good options at the moment, for sure.
Do you have any thoughts? Quite a number of the coaches have commented about draft and finishing last and first pick and last four. What did you have a feeling about? Is there one that you prefer or you like?
Yeah, look, these things sound great in principle, and I like the idea of it, but we just need to make sure we get someone to what if all these situations, because there'll be a way to expose something. And the rules and all the changes that we look at making year to year, the high tackle rule, all those things, before we make change, let's just do the due diligence and look at what the ripple will be, because there's always a ripple, and quite often there's ripples that we don't think of.
A few coaches have come out in support of a lottery for the draft pick in the future. Do you have a view on that? Do you have given it any?
No, I don't want to just throw off the cuff opinion. Like I just said, whatever it is, let's just make sure we just do the work behind it, and it's foolproof. That we don't have to change it in 2 years.
Just back to the Dogs and their restriction of scoring. You get a lot of different looks down forward with your lineup. Are you sort of confident if you can give them enough ball, they'll be able to get the job done? Well,
supply is important for us, in particular interstate games we've played this year. A lot of our numbers have been down, so the stoppages, the contested ball, all the ways you get the ball back is critical for us for a supply. So there's no point having a talented, hard-working forward line if we can't get it in there. So we didn't do that against Geelong and Hawthorn in particular. Against Sydney, we just got beaten by a better defence. So that's all part of the battle.
Is there a possibility at some point of swinging McGovern if you need a different look this week?
It's always in the back of our mind what we can do with Gov. The Doggies forward line presents a different dynamic than some forward lines. So we've got 3 tools at the moment, so to have that luxury of swinging Gov forward is something we can look at, but he's a pretty good defender, so the reluctance is there. We did start the season a few games there when he started forward just to see if we could expose, but sometimes it does disrupt what you're doing down back as well.
Is this better this week, sort of more so than others, given the size of the Dogs forward line, which isn't exactly hulking?
No, but it depends on your pressure up the ground and what's happening. So he's pretty settled as a defender. That's not to say we can't look at it. It's good to have those flexible players. I mean, we played Sharrod forward and on ball last week. Gov can do it. Elliot Yeo can do it. So those hybrid type of players are really important in modern game.
The Bulldogs' defence have been hit by a few key injuries this year. Why do you think they've still been able to be so good at restricting scores?
They don't rely on one particular player, the way they defend, and we like to think we defend in a similar way. It's not necessarily a match-up. I don't think you'll see one particular player shutting down Josh Kennedy. They'll attempt to do it with their whole system down back, and we're the same with us in our back half. So there's a number of teams playing that way, and a number of teams play differently. So that's the exciting part about AFL. But they work together. They work as a team.
Yeah, what sort of ideas have you come up with to try to break
I'm
that
not
down?
telling you that. No, we just got to look at the teams that have exposed those type of situations, and you want to play your own way as well. Hopefully you've got a good enough system that can penetrate that. So that's probably the art of how we prepare and how we coach on game day.
With the forward line you've got, are you confident that if you do find the key to cracking that open, that could be a bit of a floodgate situation?
Yeah, look, that's always a possibility. We don't prepare for the floodgates to open, but we're pretty positive and proactive bunch of players and coaching staff, so we want to get on the front foot. That's what we want to do every week, so it doesn't always work that way.
A few people are a bit confused about your preferred dirty footy as opposed to clean, easy goals.
Are you confused?
Can you explain that a bit further?
It's pretty straightforward, I would have thought. The clean, pure football that you see every now and then, in particular when you've got dominance, it's hard to get against a match-hardened finals type team that we're going to confront this week. So you train and play for the skill, but the contest is always part of the chain, whether you're stopping a goal or creating one. So it's pretty straightforward, and you want a bit of both.
So more about finals style.
Just good teams make it hard. That's probably about as much as you want to look into it. It's that's about it.
I knew where you were coming from with that.
Yeah, I thought you did.
150 games for Hilly, Simo. Pretty good.
Yeah, really good for Hilly, and he's playing his original club, and the way he's gone about it, he seems to be on a 1-year contract, Hilly, and the way he prepares and plays, I think I've really seen him mature as a person and as a player the last 2 or 3 years, and really happy for him to get to 150. And he's been a vital part of our forward line with his work rate and how he brings others into the game as well. So really proud of him.
Is he the sort of guy that needs to be on a 1-year contract each time just to keep him
I'm sure you'll say no. No, not really. No, it's just the way it's panned out. So we'll have to look at that.